Okay, fam, so the reality is that the market is dumping. And there are multiple reasons for it, but there was $100 billion wiped out from the crypto market. It's actually crazy from the past 24 hours. And I told you, I wrote you here in the Telegram, reason why market dumped aggressively. Bessent says they won't buy more Bitcoin as the US government. PPI came in hot, and because yesterday I explained this exactly on the show. Now today I want to talk about what this means, what has exactly happened the past 24 hours, and how does that actually just reshapes the entire thing that we thought about nations adopting the Bitcoin strategy and rallying to buy Bitcoin. So let's jump in. If you are here, let me know please in the comment section. Right here, I'll read all of them later. We're gonna do some charts. It's an 𝗙𝗄𝗃 show. So like, share, love. Let's get going. So here's what happened. One is, yesterday, again, like yesterday I explained it to you on the show here as well, and I had a specific show on the 𝗪𝗔𝗧𝗖𝗛 saying do not buy crypto before you watch this. And in that show, around the 8-minute mark, 4-minute mark, I literally explained to you that we were going to dump back lower, okay? So if you have been subscribed here, if you came to the shows, if you have subscribed to the 𝗪𝗔𝗧𝗖𝗛, you have seen this. But what fueled this, which was interesting, is one, the PPI. So we could see in the charts that there was going to be a drop. But one, there was PPI coming in way hotter than expected. Expectations on month to month is 0.2, and reality is actual is 0.9. Core, same thing. Expectation 0.2, core 0.9. And then on PPI came in at 3.3 and year on year. Expectation was 2.5. So it came in much hotter. And that caused a lot of FUD. Now I want to address this for 1 second, which is there is rate cuts happening in September, okay? Do not get lost in the needs and the weeds and the this and the this and the that. There is rate cuts happening in September. It doesn't matter what PPI was. They had to revise the job numbers by 280,000. We don't know if the latest job numbers are even correct or not. They're using 70% Reddit data from a tiny source, so we don't know that. Second is they're like inflation is basically down. Even though PPI came in hot, which was somewhat expected, it doesn't actually matter. So there is going to be a cut, okay? Do not let people tell you that there's not going to be a cut and you should be, and the new markets and nuke, all that stuff, okay? That's out of PPI. But what is more interesting and something that we have to talk about is that Bessent came out, Treasury Secretary, and he said that they're not going to buy more Bitcoin. Now I want you to listen to this clip. I don't know how many of you have seen it or not. I want you to listen to this, and then I'm going to tell you what I think about it.
The large gold holding, I doubt we're going to revalue it, but we are going to keep it there, again, as a store of value for the American people. We've also started to get into the 21st century, a Bitcoin strategic reserve.
Listen.
We're not going to be buying that, but we are going to use...
Here he loses his cool. Look at this. He's speaking very confidently.
Century, a Bitcoin strategic reserve. We're not going to be buying.
And he says we're not going to be buying. And he starts thinking if you are doing any. Hold on. I thought I'm going to sneeze. Okay, we'll see a little bit later. So if you're performing and you're speaking a lot, you know that you speak and you develop the ability to speak and not actually follow through with, not having to think about what you're saying, and you can just still speak. So what happens here is exactly that. Look at him. He's speaking.
Strategic reserve. We're not going to be buying that.
He fumbles it. He says, we're not going to buy them. And as he speaks, he starts thinking about what he just said.
We're going to.
And then he says, we're going to. And then he's just like, what the f am gonna do now? That's what's going on instead. And he just carries through.
Use confiscated assets and continue to build that up. We're going to stop selling that.
And then he gets a bit confused. He's like, we're gonna start building that up, and we're gonna stop selling that, and
I believe that Bitcoin reserve at today's prices is somewhere between 15 and 20 billion.
So lost his track. And then this is how the markets unfolded. So PPI comes in, and at the same time, almost at the same time, Bessent goes on and he says this thing, and the market is down 3% on Bitcoin, not that much, but I mean, there's as you've seen, there's $100 billion that has been liquidated from the market. Now, Bessent goes back home. He's like, fudge, I fucked this up, bro. Like, what did I do? So the phone rings and he goes, yes. And then he's Mr. President, and he says, Scott, my friend, great job on the interview. I'll give you that. But now you have to make an X post on Elon Musk's platform. Elon Musk, very good guy, very great guy. And then just make this post and say that Bitcoin is the greatest thing on the planet because we are long on a decentralized exchange and my portfolio is getting hammered. So you gotta kind of like, you know, just save the day. So that's what he did. He goes back home and he tweets and he says, Bitcoin that has been finally forfeited to the federal government will be the foundation of the strategic Bitcoin. We know this. In addition, he goes, Treasury is committed to exploring budget-neutral pathways to acquire more Bitcoin to expand the reserve and to execute on the president's promise to make the United States the Bitcoin superpower of the planet. So he's kind of trying to backtrack and correct the mistake that he made, which is fine. But he cannot say that, you know, it seems like that they're, you know, just in their own head. Bo Hines just resigned a week ago, and he was basically the second person when it came to the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. He was pioneering the whole thing, and it shocked me personally. I was like, why would the guy resign? Now we know why he resigns, because probably that is actually the plan, that they're not going to find ways. They're going to drag this along, and there will be no ways. This will be the narrative that we're going to find budget-neutral ways, but it seems like that there is not going to be a way for them to acquire Bitcoin in a budget-neutral way. And then Senator Loomis, who's a very big advocate of the thing, she wrote the bill. We're going to talk about it in a second. She comes and tweets right after. She says, Scott Bessent is right. A budget-neutral path to building SBR, which is the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve, is the way. We cannot save our country from $37 trillion debt by purchasing more Bitcoin, which is weird as well. She was fucking advocating for the same thing. We cannot say, but we can revalue gold reserve today's prices and transfer the increase in value to build SBR. So she started to go back on the fact that they need to revalue the gold. Now I'm gonna talk about that in a second, but I want you to pay attention here. One other thing is, he says, execute. So here's what I think happened. Bessent went on. Closed door discussions, like, fuck that, I'm not buying that magic internet money with government funds, you know, like, we're not gonna do it, but we're gonna keep the people happy. Trump made the promise, so we're gonna do it. We're gonna promise it, and we're just gonna keep pushing the narrative. He goes on and he slips his tongue, and he says, we're not gonna buy that. Then he starts backtracking. The reason is because he has to execute on president's promise to make United States the Bitcoin superpower of the world. So, here's what President Trump made. If you've been watching the shows,
together we will make America the undisputed Bitcoin superpower and the crypto capital of the world. Together we will make America the undisputed Bitcoin superpower and the crypto capital of the world.
Undisputed Bitcoin superpower. Now, Trump usually says a lot of stuff, right? I love Trump. I think he's a great guy. But I think he does a lot of good stuff. But also he's like saying stuff that it's art of the deal. So there are multiple countries that hold a bunch of Bitcoin, okay? Two of the main leading countries is China and the US. China and the United States of America, in a fight on global crypto markets, acquire as much Bitcoin as possible. So yeah, they're holding about the same. Now, if you want to be the crypto capital, the Bitcoin superpower, if you truly want to be that, then this is not gonna cut it. Like having 8,000 more Bitcoin than China is not gonna cut it. And further, Trump made multiple comments, and bear with me here, he made multiple comments regarding China and the crypto.
I view it as an industry.
From your personal crypto ventures, just for the next few years, if that helps get these crypto.
The question doesn't matter.
In the next few months.
Well, it's a very funny thing, crypto. So I became
a good politician never answers a question. Good politician listens to a question, ask a question for themselves, and answer on that question. That's what they do.
Of crypto, and to me, it's an industry. I view it as an industry, and I'm president. And if we didn't have it, China would, or somebody else.
See, he's saying like, if we wouldn't have it, China would have it.
China would love to. And we've dominated that industry. It's a big industry, by the way. In fact, when the stock market went down recently, crypto and Bitcoin and all of that went down much less than anybody else as a group. And we've created a very powerful industry, and that's much more important than anything that we invest in. We invest in it, but really that was an industry that wasn't doing particularly.
Okay, so what is important here is that he's emphasizing that the U.S. has to move forward, so China doesn't have it. Another interview. Like the show.
Crypto is important because if we don't do it, China's going to. And it's new. It's very popular. It's very hot. If you look at the market, when the market went down, that stayed much stronger than other aspects of the market. But I want crypto because a lot of people, millions of people want it. I don't know if you know that Biden went after it violently.
So he's been voicing his opinion for a long time regarding if they wouldn't do it, then China would do it. So how could they abandon this whole mission by not acquiring more? And they have to find budget neutral ways. And so going back to Senator Loomis's post, one of the most obvious things is look at gold. So I wanted to run through what the proposal there is. So the US currently has 8,100 tons of gold, okay, tons of gold. So that means that on today, not today's prices, by the way, because this is inaccurate because it's on valuing gold at 3,500 is valuing gold at a wrong calculation, but it's worth about 11 billion. So this is the interesting part. This gold is valued on the prices based that were there in 1973, because that's when they valued the gold reserves and they haven't touched them since. So there was no revaluation. So the 8,100 tons of gold is valued at $42 per ounce, which is crazy. Like instead of the 11 billion dollars, the 8,100 tons of gold should be worth about 770 billion and 850 billion, somewhere between there, depending on the gold price. That's massive. So what a lot of people suggest, including Senator Loomis's bill, if you read the bill, it suggests very nicely. They say that the gold reserve certificates could be repriced. So they could go another 180 days, shall issue new gold certificates to the Federal Reserve Bank that reflects the fair market value price of the gold held against such certificates. So that would mean that they would basically free up about $700 billion, $700 to $800 billion on accounting. Now, I'll tell you what the pros and the cons of this. The pros are that you can say that now we had 11 billion, but now we had 800 billion, and we can spend 100 billion from there. The con is that you still have to sell the gold. It's a stupid argument because you still have to sell the gold. We look at this and we say, yeah, we said it in 73, we said that this bottle is actually worth only about $42 or whatever, $11, but we all know today it's not worth it, but we just don't want the hustle of all the accounting and everything to revalue. You have to count, all that shit. We don't even know if we have it, by the way. So I just leave it there, and we all know that's the value. So by revaluing the gold, you're not printing money out of thin air. You're not finding a budget neutral way. You're just trying to screw the people who know exactly how to do accounting because do it every single day on their companies. So that's not the solution. That cannot be the solution. Furthermore, no wonder, Bessent also said in the same interview that they are not going to revalue. Listen to this.
The large gold holding, I doubt we're going to revalue it, but we are going to keep it there, again, as a store of value for the American people.
So the problem is, one of the main reasons why they're not going, it's not one of the main reasons, but one is would be very difficult to push it through Senate. Two, it is a security. Like they do take loans and different liabilities against their gold, which we don't even know if it's still at Fort Knox. We don't know if the gold is there. Trump was beating the drum with Elon that we're going to Fort Knox. Did they go to Fort Knox? I don't know. Do you know? Cuz doesn't know either. Do you know? They probably did. And then they just stay silent. So anyway, what I wanted to say about this whole thing, how does that leave us with? And I'll tell you why I believe this is it's a big problem. No, actually no. So it's not a big problem in any way. Well, why is this not government entities? It's not a big problem forever, but I do think that it changes a lot of things. So the one and most important, I think Bitcoin itself is a marvelous asset that is here to stay. It's the most decentralized asset on the planet. The network itself is extremely valuable, and Bitcoin got to 100,000 without the government ever buying a piece, okay? So I don't think it's gonna be Bitcoin is not gonna hit 1 million because the government doesn't buy it. They will buy it at 1 million and 2 and 3, that's fine. But one thing is certain, that the acceleration of adoption will definitely slow down if the US does not find a way to acquire more Bitcoin in a budget neutral way. Why? Because if you look at these countries, all of these countries own crypto. Some of these countries, for example, El Salvador, has been acquiring Bitcoin by actively buying. They are up 470 million. Congratulations to Bukele. Bhutan, on the other hand, they mined Bitcoin. They actively mined Bitcoin using their hydropower, and they have accumulated almost 1 billion. What is this? This is bollocks, bro. Oh, that's the change, exactly. So they accumulated like $1 billion worth of Bitcoin by just simply mining using water. Like, that's what they did. So one of the biggest, I believe, one of the biggest things that the US can do is to acquire Bitcoin in a budget neutral way is to start mining Bitcoin. And they can do it. Like, they have the capacity. David Sachs is being the AI and crypto czar at the same time. What do you need for both? Infrastructure. You need chips. You need processors. You need hardware to be able to mine Bitcoin, and you need hardware to be able to run AI facilities. So I do believe that a mutual investment in some way through the investment fund that Trump was told, the Sovereign Wealth Fund, could potentially be a way for the US to start acquiring Bitcoin, but it's tiny, 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 tiny compared to what people expected. Now, the initial spoof on the market is a problem. Yes, it is a problem. But do I believe that it's going to have a long-term impact? In one single way, yes. The one single way is that other countries that have been looking at the States and looking at Trump, thinking the United States is going all in on crypto, because this is literally what we've seen all year. Going all in on crypto, stablecoins, GeniusX, ClarityX, Strategic Bitcoin Reserve, the crypto working group, everything was crypto, has now said, hold the fuck up. Like, we're not gonna buy Bitcoin, basically. Like, it's clear now that the government is not going to buy Bitcoin, not for now at least. When they say crypto, they mean stablecoins, they mean blockchain, they mean DeFi, which could again result in the expected run of governments to acquire as much Bitcoin as possible because of the limited supply to slow down substantially. That means that I do think that the growth of Bitcoin will be much longer than we anticipated this year. Does that mean that I don't think Bitcoin is going to 1 million, 2 million, 3 million in the next, 5, 10, 15 years? Absolutely not. I do think Bitcoin is going to 1 million in the next 5 years. But while I believe we could see Bitcoin at 500,000 next year, I highly doubt that now. It's going to be a much longer game because these country adoptions that I was thinking is happening is not happening. So someone is saying the likes are shameful. It's because not a lot of people smashed the like. We've got 600 people watching, on 130 likes. I appreciate the 130 of you. Thanks for being here. Let's jump on to the charts. I wanted to show you one more thing, which is pretty cool, which is Paul Atkins for the rescue with his cape and with everything. He's coming and he's going to talk about Project Crypto at 8:30 a.m. ET, which is in about 25 minutes. So he's going to talk about Project Crypto in about 25 minutes. This will definitely have some results, and I hope that the guy is not full of bollocks and says something that we can actually use. Because otherwise, who will pump my bags, bro? Let's look at charts. Here are the trades that we opened. Some of them are in great profits. Some of them are not in great profits. I have opened. I told you about the show here yesterday as well. We took some of the one of the DeFi plays got stopped. Spark is still up here, so I'm still keeping that open. And then all the other rest, the rest of the positions are still open. And we're still doing fine with this jump, but I explained it very clearly on the 100x Club show today. You want to go, guys, and subscribe to the 100x Club. Like, literally, if you want alpha charts in less than 10 minutes every single morning, you want to go and check that. I'm actually dropping an insane tutorial as well, how we made 42% yesterday. I posted this in here. Yesterday at 7 o'clock. What is doing here? I posted this in here at 7 o'clock. I said, hey, I opened an XRP bot. Then I posted the chart, and less than 12 hours later, we made 42%. This is the free Telegram, completely free. There's no catch. I just build a community. And then the 100x Club, when I subscribe, I'm dropping major videos. Cuz has already pinned it here. So go and check that out. You can click here, join the Telegram, and you can join the channel as well. But I said that I think it's a nothing burger on a short, you know, obviously this was a sell-off, fine, $100 billion liquidity, that's actually kind of substantial. But we just came back, as I explained yesterday here, we literally just came back for this 50% level. We cleared that, and I think we're ready to rally. If for any reason we close below the 3.87 trillion, unfortunately, I will sell my positions. I will close most of my positions. That is what it is, truth be told. I am going to be on a holiday from Sunday. That means that I'm not sure how much I can come here, but this is also, I'm gonna definitely update you in the Telegram, and I'm definitely gonna update you on the 𝗨𝗘𝗙 Club. If we close below, I am closing 50-60% of my positions, and that might include spot as well. But otherwise, I do think that we are pushing higher here. I have positioned myself for the push. I think Paul Atkins will come in with some great stuff. And then low liquidity weekend can also push this at least back to the 4 trillion, 4.08 trillion mark, and then we'll take it from there. Guys, I appreciate every single one of you. Thanks for being here. Much love. Make sure to check out this video, which is going to be the update that I dropped on 𝗨𝗪𝗧𝗀 Club today. This is going to be the playlist here, why you should come back every single day. Click here to subscribe, and I believe I'll see you in the next one. Have a great weekend. See you in the Telegram. See you at 𝗨𝗪𝗧𝗀 Club. See you here next week. Ciao, ciao.